Hi everyone, it's Travis, and welcome to this week's refresh. The word peace continues to be on my mind. That was our focus and topic, the peace even within the trials of life. I said that peace is disruptive on Sunday. Pretty paradoxical, I know. At the end of our service, I reminded some of you, and I also introduced some of you to this longtime Christian tradition called passing the peace. It was beautiful to watch, by the way. But the question may be in your mind, why has the church done this for so long? It's done it for far more than a millennia in their worship services. Well, first and foremost, the church has done this because Jesus has told his church to do it. In the Sermon on the Mount, chapter 5, verse 23, he says, "So when you are offering your gift at the altar, if you remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go. First be reconciled to your brother and sister, and then come and offer your gift." Wow. Passing the peace began as a way of people within the Christian community to be reconciled. Think about that. It's more than just a handshake. It's even something more than just a hug. It's a way, a means of grace that we can actually prepare ourselves to come to the altar of God. Peace and passing this peace always comes after confession and before communion in the liturgical services. It's so interesting to think of that. The church has traditionally passed the peace to get ready for the Last Supper. Think about Jesus when he was getting ready for the Last Supper. He said, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you." I think that's in John 14. And then one chapter later in John 15, he says, "My commandment is this, love each other as I have loved you." Think about then when he appeared to the disciples, that first appearance to all the disciples right after the resurrection. How did he greet them? They were shaking with fear. He said, "Peace be with you." Christian tradition has had these two things together, being reconciled with one another and being reconciled with God since the very beginning, because it was Jesus's purpose and plan. Salvation is embedded in peace, and sharing peace with one another is not just an ancient Christian tradition, but it's something that you're called to and that I'm called to. I'm thinking about the early Christian communities that Paul planted and began. Do you know that every one of his letters, and he wrote the majority of the New Testament, every one of his letters started with grace to you and peace. This suggests that in the very early church, from the very beginning, grace to you and peace was the way Christians greeted one another and their posture towards one another. You could probably say that it was their secret handshake or maybe their mother tongue. You might be thinking, though, if it's so ancient and it comes from our roots, why don't we do it here at OroNaz? The surprising thing is not that we don't pass the peace during our services, is that in the greater church, we've lost the tradition for so long in the greater Christian community because I think that we've lost the focus on Christ's importance of peace, and how peace and faith and hope and love are the very core pieces to the gospel. I want to greet you with peace this day. I am fully aware that many of you are up against something that is horrific, perplexing, challenging, something that is pushing or oppressing any hope for peace. Well, let me tell you that peace, because it is a person, it's God, it can't be suppressed or oppressed. The very death of Christ has overcome the oppressive state of sin, selfishness, brokenness. And in our turmoil, we can experience God, peace. And so I, as your friend, as your pastor, I want to say, peace to you. In other words, may God show himself, and may you have the eyes and the ears to hear, to see, to experience, to feel, a whole body experience, not just in a spiritual way, but in a mental way. May your minds be touched with peace. May your bodies, the very fibers of your bodies, chemicals, muscles, tendons, as we get older, our bodies hurt. May you experience peace in the midst of those hurts and pains. Those that are experiencing anxiety or depression, maybe there's someone watching this thinking, I just can't live anymore, and you're contemplating suicide. Peace of God be with you. I mean that. I mean that deeply. Jesus greeted his disciples after that resurrection with peace. And he greets us today with peace. May the peace of Christ